The blade dealer, make a nigga forfeit, yeah, cause I'm the realest. Hey, niggas talking short shit, nah, I need a million.
Big stepper, yeah, bitch, I be steppin'. Coolin' kit with the flip switch, bitch, that's the weapon. No drama.
Welcome to New York Giants Full Access.
This legend bring them sounds in one time.
I'm hard, and we got you. And that's it, man. Go purchase Big Pat Sports Talk merch and support the family, man. And welcome to Big Pat Sports Talk. Thank you for your support. What's going on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, all platforms? Welcome to another episode of New York Giants Full Access with your boy Big Pat Sports Talk. And look, hey, we got a new setup, and we're gonna be doing this show like a full access show, and we're gonna be doing something new right here on Big Pat Sports Talk with New York Giants Full Access, and we're gonna be doing it in segments. So the first segment is we're talking about New York Giants training camp, what happened today, and things of such. Daniel Jones getting the connection with Hyatt and Neighbors again, throwing it over the middle of the field to Neighbors, throwing it deep to Neighbors for a touchdown, and throwing another touchdown deep to Jalen Hyatt. And I do believe these guys are building chemistry amongst themselves, and this passing offense could be very dope. Looks like the offensive line is trying to get themselves together. And let's listen to what Mr. Matt has to say, what happened during training camp today with the New York Giants.
The Giants practice in shells before tomorrow's padded practice. On offense, Daniel Jones connected on a couple of deep passes, one of which Malik Neighbors brought in for a touchdown. The other one a little bit later on, Jalen Hyatt caught, brought down inside the 5-yard line. Running back Eric Gray had a strong day. He had a nice run to the outside. He had a diving catch and later punched it in on the goal line for a touchdown. Moving over to the defense, Bobby Okereke had some strong coverage throughout practice, getting his hands on a couple of passes, one of which Theo Johnson was able to bring in for an interception. And then Isaiah Simmons broke up 2 passes, which Alex Johnson on both occasions was able to bring in for interceptions. Tune back in tomorrow for Friday's practice recap.
So as you heard, that was the Giants recap on training camp today. Isaiah Simmons making plays, Bobby Okereke making plays, getting about 3 interceptions today. I think 1 off Daniel Jones and a couple of others off DeVito. So I believe this offense and this defense are actually iron sharpens iron. I think they're having their days. The offense has a day, then the defense comes back and has their day. What we need is more and more training camp for these guys to get this camaraderie to where they're able to go on the field and produce against other teams. Now in training camp, yes, there are going to be mistakes, but you want to see those mistakes in training camp so you can actually, find out what you can do and what you can't do during the regular season. I expect this New York Giants team to continue to practice hard. Can't wait to see what we do against the Lions in those joint practices. But as far as training camp, you got guys like Isaiah Simmons who's carving a role for himself. You got guys like Bobby Okereke who's turning into a leader. Andrew Thomas is in mid-season form. Daniel Jones has a lot to work on, but he will continue to work, and let's see if he can build that camaraderie with the new receivers. So training camp, nothing extremely special today, but they're working and they're grinding every day, and I can't wait to see what comes next on the next day of training camp and pads. And we'll get an update right here on New York Giants Full Access. So let's get to the next subject. Now we're going to be talking about new offensive lineman that has just been signed, Mr. Van Roten. has been signed to the New York Giants, and he is actually feeling right at home with the New York Giants. Like, I think this guy's going to be a starter, and he's going to get everything that we are looking for in the offensive lineman. He's going to be starting more than likely next to Jermaine Illuminor, and they have that camaraderie from the Raiders, and Brasillo likes the guy, and he was brought here to shore up this offensive line. So we're going to get into what Mr. Van Rotten has to say about being a New York Giant, and then we're going to talk a little bit more. So let's get into it.
Talk about Coleman, just saw him last year. You and Jermaine, what kind of coach he is.
I had my best professional career or year of my career with Carm, so happy to be back around him. He's a great X's and O's coach. Really does a good job of marrying the run game with the pass game schematically. So you kind of you're never at a disadvantage as an offensive lineman. So it's a good system to play in, and he does a really good job communicating the expectations. And it just, obviously him being here, Jermaine being here, familiarity a little bit with the system, just felt like a natural fit for me.
So you hear what Mr. Van Rotten says about being with the New York Giants. It was a natural fit. And the reason why it's a natural fit, because he's already worked with our offensive line coach, which we actually need here with the New York Giants. He will be playing next to Jermaine Illuminor, although he got some snaps at center today because JMS is on the shelf right now with a shoulder injury. Hopefully he gets that. He gets healthy here very soon. And it looks like the offensive line starters will be Andrew Thomas, Runyon, JMS, Van Rotten, and light-skinned Jermaine. I do believe that offensive lineup is way better than any offensive line lineup we've had in the past 10 years. So we'll see exactly what those guys can do as far as the camaraderie with those guys and blocking for Daniel Jones so he can get the ball to people like Malik Neighbors and Jalen Hyatt and Wan'Dale Robinson and Slayton and Theo Johnson. It's so many weapons that we have that we can utilize if we actually have the blocking to go with our weapons, and we can make some noise this year. You can check out the film review of Van Rotten by Talking Giants. Bobby, what's going on? He does a very good a good preview of what Van Rotten brings to this team. And what he brings to this team is he brings veteran leadership. He brings stability. He brings strength. He actually has pretty good strength at the guard position when he was playing guard. And he also brings some familiarity with the new offensive line coach and with Jermaine Illuminor. So if those two guys work as good as they did with the Raiders on the right side of the line, and we know we have Andrew Thomas at the left side of the line, you got a veteran and John Runyon who does his job in the pass game. We just got to hope that JMS can hold up against those defensive tackles going into the season, definitely in the NFC East, because we got mad defensive tackles in the NFC East. So, it is what it is, man. You bring in that veteran. Yes, he's 34 years old, but we need veteran leadership on this offensive line. And if he can come in and be that veteran and be stable and keep things afloat, we can put up points with the best of these teams in the league, because I do believe Malik Neighbors is him. I do believe Jalen Hyatt is turning into a very good receiver. His route running is getting better, and he's learning the receiver game more and more every day during training camp. Then you got Wan'Dale Robinson, who can be one of the best slot receivers in the league. People are already giving him his props about that. So we'll see. Van Rotten, I believe, is a very good signing for us here with the New York Giants, and let's see what he does. Let's see how he looks in practice. Let's see how he looks in training camp, and we're going to see how he looks against the Detroit Lions, I believe, next week when there's joint practices, and I can't wait. But let's get to the next subject, and let's continue with New York Giants Full Access. Hey, next subject right here on New York Giants Full Access, Mr. John Mara. speaks. And he's going to talk about a few things about Coach Brian Daboll. He's going to talk about Daniel Jones, and he's going to talk about the offensive line. So let's get into Mr. John Mara and see what he's going to be talking about the New York Giants. He finally done the interview. He's finally came out to speak. So let's get into it.
I mean, I want to walk off the field at the end of the season feeling like we're moving in the right direction. We really are. We've got a great foundation here, and there's every reason to be optimistic going forward. I guess about as simple a way as I could say it.
All right, you heard John Mara right there. What he expects for this season is to actually go into at the end of the season to feel like we're on the right path of getting back to where we want to be, which is in the playoffs and fighting for a Super Bowl. Now, speaking on that, a lot of people are saying that, hey, this is a make or break year for Daboll and Shane, and if everything doesn't go correctly, they could be fired. Hey, if they don't make the playoffs and make a deep run, they could be fired. So based on what the actual owner says out of his own mouth, he just wants to see it at the end of the season if he feels this team has progressed. He feels that this team is on the right path of going to being where they want to be, and he just wants to feel good about the team. So let's just say that the Giants finished 8-9, but a lot of good things happen, and the team is in the right direction. Let's just say the team is in the right direction, but they need a new quarterback. Does he still fire Joe Shane and Brian Daboll after that? I don't believe so. He's just going to let them pick their quarterback, and let's roll and with the new quarterback, and let's roll with the people that we have, because I see that Malik Neighbors has progressed. I see that Hyatt's progressed. I'm seeing that Wan'Dale Robinson has progressed. It's just that the quarterback couldn't get them the ball. I see the offensive line has progressed. I think that's the main thing. If this offensive line progresses and they show that they are actual NFL caliber line, I do believe that Joe Shane and Brian Daboll's jobs are safe. Main reason why, if that offensive line blocks, I think we put up a lot of points, even with Daniel Jones at quarterback. So, I mean, it's not a do or die type season for Joe Shane and Brian Daboll. I think they're going to be here for years to come, and that's a very good thing. But let's see what John Mara has to say about Daniel Jones.
Listen, I'm still happy we gave him that contract because I thought he played really well for us in 22. Last year he got hurt, and let's be honest, when he was playing, we weren't blocking anybody. So let's give him a chance with a better offensive line, with some weapons around him to see what he can do. I was nervous about giving up too much to go and get a quarterback, but I was prepared to let him do that if that's what they wanted to do. We made a decision to stay with Daniel and add a weapon for him, and I think that's going to work out for him.
So as you heard Mr. Mara right there, you heard him say that, hey, he is absolutely happy about the contract that they gave Daniel Jones, and he's ready to roll with Daniel Jones. During that segment that they asked him about Daniel Jones, he said, hey, look, I'm happy that we gave him the contract, and we want to see what he can do with a weapon. We want to see what he could do if the offensive line actually blocks for him. It's kind of crazy, right, that the Big Blue Crew was saying the same exact things, and you hear it from the owner, you hear it from the coach, you hear it from the GM, you hear it from former players, you hear it from current players, that they did not give Daniel Jones ample opportunity to progress from 2022 because the blocking was absolutely horrible. You heard Darren Waller came out and say, hey, look, man, we thought we were going to be able to do some things, but nobody was blocking when Daniel Jones was playing, and that's absolutely true. Nobody was really blocking when Daniel Jones was playing last year. Now, does that excuse Daniel Jones' poor play that he had last year? No, that does not excuse his poor play when he was in there, but it does tell you the story that, hey, look, he played poorly when the offensive line was not blocking anybody. And if you can hear from the owner, the head coach, the GM, the offensive coordinator, former players, current players, I think you might want to take their word for it. And they're going to go into the season with Daniel Jones and see what he can do. If this offensive line blocks and he cannot get the ball to the weapons that they have, they're going to let him go. And you also know that John Mara trusts Joe Shane and Brian Daboll to the utmost. He said, hey, look, I was going to be a little bit nervous if they was going to trade up to number 3, give up a bunch of picks to get a quarterback. But he said, hey, look, I was going to let them do what they do. Hey, if they wanted to go get a quarterback, I wasn't going to say anything. I was just going to let them go get their quarterback because they deserve their guy. So the people that are worried about John Mara butting his head, putting his face in business that he doesn't need to be putting in and saying things behind the scenes to make things go, he's not doing that. He's letting Joe Shane and Brian Daboll do their job, and I believe that's the best way to go in order for us to get to where we need to be. He has to have trust in his staff that he hired. So glad to hear him say things like that, and it is what it is. We're rolling with Daniel Jones. We're going to see if he can get it to Neighbors, Hyatt, Robinson, Johnson. We're going to see what he can do this year. And if he doesn't show up this year, they're going to let him go. That's point blank, period. But it's good to hear from John Mara. Glad he's in good spirits. He's laughing. He's upbeat again. He's not looking sad and feeling sorry for himself. Hopefully he can keep those good spirits and we can go into this season and be the greatest show on turf, Big Blue edition. Shout out to Big Blue. But let's get into the next segment of New York Giants Full Access. We'll be right back. All right, we are rolling to the last segment of the day for New York Giants Full Access right here with Big Pat Sports Talk. And the last segment we're going to talk about is Mr. Theo Johnson. Now, Theo Johnson is a big 6'6" tight end that we drafted in the 4th round of this year's NFL draft. And this dude can be an absolute monster. And the reason why I say that, man, when you look at his film at Penn State, man, he was an absolute beast of a tight end when they actually gave him the chance to produce in the passing game. You can throw it to him in the middle of the field, up the seam. He has the speed to go past linebackers. He has the strength to box out DBs and safeties. He has the hands to catch the ball in traffic. He has the strength to break off tackles and get you those first downs to keep the chains moving. And there's an article by the NewJersey.com where Brian Daboll actually calls him out of meetings and brings him into the office and shows him film of Gronkowski, which Brian Daboll coached over there in New England. So that's very, very high praise for a guy that's a rookie, and you're showing him film of Gronkowski and telling him, hey, look, you can be just like this guy. You're built like this guy. You can do special things, and we believe that you're going to be a monster for this team. So looks like my prediction of Theo Johnson not being a huge factor during this season might actually be wrong. They may actually have a huge plan for Theo Johnson to be the number 1 target on this team. If his blocking is up to par, I don't see why not he doesn't start. I don't see why not you put him on the outside and let him go up the seam against a safety or a DB. I don't see why not you don't let him go in the middle of the field against a linebacker and route him up and go and get a first down for you. So Theo Johnson is actually a weapon that Brian Daboll himself has admitted that he believes he can be a featured tight end in this league. And when you look at his build, when you look at his makeup that he's fast, he's tall, he's strong. He can use that frame to box people out to catch the ball. Let's see if he can get his blocking up to par. I haven't seen him block much, but we're going to see him have to block during the regular season. And if he could get his route running up to par as far as getting through the seams, learning the playbook, learning the nuances of the game, and man, what a red zone target this guy could be. 6'6", 260, running a 4.56 or 4.65. That is ridiculous athleticism. He can be a Jimmy Graham in the red zone. He could be a Gronkowski in the field. And he could be a very good blocker. You can line him up in the backfield as an H-back. You can do whatever you want with Theo Johnson. I do believe he can turn into a premier player for this team. So that's exciting to me to learn that actual Brian Daboll, the head coach, brings him out of meetings just to show him film of a great tight end and say, hey, look, kid, this can be you. This is why we drafted you. This is why we were excited to get you in the 4th round. We believe you're an absolute steal. We thought you were a 2nd rounder, but we got you in the 4th round. And we're ready to go to work. We're ready to put you with Malik Neighbors. We're ready to put you out there with Jalen Hyatt and Wan'Dale Robinson and Slayton and then Bellinger. We're ready to do that. And we get the blocking down. You can see Theo Johnson be that chain mover for us. So I'm excited about Theo Johnson. You guys let me know in the comments how you feel about Theo Johnson being tight end 1 for the New York Giants off the rip. Because that's what I'm getting from if your head coach is pulling you out of meetings to tell you these things. That means you're something special to him. That means they think you got something special. They think your skill set is special. So we're gonna see. But Theo Johnson, man, number 1 tight end for the New York Giants. Man, y'all put a 1 in the chat or a 2 in the chat to say, hey, 1 tight end 1 or 2 tight end 2 behind Bellinger. We gonna see. But let's get to the end of the show. All right, guys, after that last segment, this is the end of the show for New York Giants Full Access with your boy Big Pat Sports Talk. Man, I'd like to thank you guys for watching. Y'all let me know how y'all like this new way that we're doing New York Giants Full Access right here on Big Pat Sports Talk. We talked about Giants training camp. We talked about Theo Johnson. We talked about John Mara speaking about the team. And we just talked about training camp in general. So you guys let me know how you like this show. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that big blue join button, and talk your talk with Big Pat Sports Talk and join the Big Blue crew. Go ahead and cop you some merch. The New York Giants Full Access merch is in the Big Pat Sports Shop. There's no excuses. Go cop y'all some merch. And thank you guys for watching. Appreciate you guys. Hit that like button and subscribe button. And until the next episode, you know what it is, man. Peace.
Hitting the mic, spitting the facts, coming with full access. Big Pat in the house with giant tactics. Eli's handoff, rapping the classics. 90s beats, we blast this in New York. Big Blue. Where the G-men roam, Super Bowls in the vault, that's the Empire's home. Red, white, and blue, where the legends are grown. Giants Full Access, this the zone, got the tone.